Let me introduce you to Sana. Sana is just 9 years of age, and she comes from one of the most vulnerable sections of society. Her family income is neither enough nor consistent. But this does not hamper her spirits. Sana is a go-getter and doer, and she says that she would not stop unless she makes herself proud. So, ladies and gentlemen, Sana teaches 12 children every single day and who are younger to her age. So I present before you the narratives of hope and determination through a Bal Gurukul model, which is a movement of the children, by the children, and for the children. It is a celebration of coming together of all of these warriors, as I call them, who love to learn and transform their energies, positive energies, and the learnings to the less privileged. Well, there was not always hope. There was darkness earlier. We have been serving the most vulnerable and the most impoverished communities ever since its inception in the year 1988. Now, Yamuna Pushta, which was one of the largest slums of Asia, was demolished by the then government in the year 2004. It displaced close to 1.5 lakh people, destroying close to 40,000 homes. So what it meant was that the condition of the people, especially the children, was even worse. And needless to say, the area was even more poverty-stricken. So in such a situation, the children were living in one of the most unhygienic conditions. They were into all sorts of heinous crimes which you could even think of. Not only that, they were into drug abuse, they were loitering around in the streets, they were into rat picking, etc. Now, in such a situation, just imagine a formal or a mere setup of an education system was not of any help. So definitely the measures had to be taken to bridge the gap between them and the demerits of the most traditional systems which existed in the community. So what we did, we went out and we mobilized the community and, of course, the children. So this is a model which has immense power to prevent crime and provide the quality education to the children. Every journey has its own ups and downs, and no journey is always stable. We had our own challenges, we had our own roadblocks. I would just like to share those roadblocks and also tell you that how did we really overcome them. The first and foremost, the roadblock which came to us was from the children themselves. If we had to make this Bal Gurukul a momentum, if we had to make this a huge success, it was important that we had the right talent and also the competence and the keenness and the eagerness of the children to deliver their tasks. So what did we do? But the challenge was that the kids and the children who were keen did not have an acumen or competence to teach, and the ones who had the competence to teach, they were not very willing to indulge themselves in these activities. So we went ahead and we introduced the concept of 3H to these people, which meant holistic harmony to carry out their tasks in the more refined manner. Another challenge was lack of resources. Now here, they were not able to meet their own ends, and we were asking them to just go out and teach others. Where would the resources come from? So what did we do? We introduced the concept of Kabar Se Jugaad. So we asked them to look around, and we even motivated them to look around, and with the help of the waste material, what they started doing was they started making teaching learning materials. As you can see, the walls were made the blackboards, the doors were made the blackboards. I think we feel really blessed when we look around at these pictures, we look at these pictures, that how resourceful we all are. The second challenge came from the parents. And this was more of a gendered one, because the parents did not allow the girls to step out of their homes for obvious reasons. They wanted them to take care of the household chores and activities. Not only that, they just wanted to marry them off at an early age so that they can get rid of their responsibilities. And as far as boys were concerned, there was a looming fear that they would fall prey in the wrong company because this was more of a peer learning. Well, a lot of counseling had gone by, a lot of trainings had gone by to make this a success moment. The third challenge came from none other than the alcoholics, because the so-called addas were now converted into the Bal Gurukul activities. We call it a mini university. We do not have the concrete walls, or we do not have concrete buildings. We say that these warriors are out in the open battlefields. And what they do is, wherever they find space, whatever resources they have, they just go out and they make sure that they transfer their learnings to the less privileged ones. Now, if you were to ask me that what are the benefits of the Bal Gurukul model, I can quote many, but to name a few. First of all, it has immense power to prevent crime and provide quality education to the students. Not only this, it inculcates a deep sense of gratitude, and who better than them as brand ambassadors who are themselves saved from drowning at some point in time. And they say the best way to give back to the community is to volunteer your time. And that's exactly what these youngsters were doing. The third important point, they are becoming social and community leaders at such a tender age. How? Because when they work in the community, they look at the problems, at the micro-level problems, and then they thrive to provide solutions to these problems. So hence, these are becoming social and community leaders as well. They are becoming subject matter experts. Because if you have to teach to the younger ones, then you have to practice and you have to apply. Now for that, I'm happy to share with all of you that they've started to gain scholarships in their own specific fields. Now I want you to meet few of our Bal Gurus. Let me introduce you to them. Manju. Manju, she is a Bal Guru. The father died because of brain hemorrhage. They live in just one single room. There is no male member in the family. And Manju's philosophy is that if we share more, we definitely gain back more. That's her philosophy. And Manju is unstoppable. Every single day, she would reach out to not less than 12 children, and she's also one of our Bal Gurus. Let's meet Hina. Hina is partially disabled. And for her, disability is not inability. Hina's father is a driver and a sole bread earner. There are 14 members in Hina's family. Yes, you heard me right, 14 members in the family. This environment does not hamper her spirits. That's Hina for us. Shivam. Shivam loves to dance. And he has a very simple motto in life. He wishes to make learning fun not only for himself, but for others through dance. That's Shivam for us, ladies and gentlemen. And this, you have hundreds of these Bal Gurus who are reaching out to thousands of students every single day. Every single day. And I would like to share with you that if this model becomes a national movement, then no child in our country would go uneducated, as knowledge would no longer be determined by child's fate. Brave concept is do or die. Practical concept is do before you die. But the winner's concept is don't die until you do it. Thank you very much.